video, I'm going to be talking about why McDonald's and Primark should be boycotted, along with some others. But McDonald's and Primark are the main ones. So, McDonald's, as we know, does support Israel. They have made that quite clear already, and not to mention, they even gave soldiers free food. They were sending out thousands of meals to Israeli soldiers. Which is so weird, because why are you supporting thing that is destroying people's homes and families, and also they're killing people quite literally when bombs are going off in the country, and they're like, yeah, I got a great idea, let's give all of these people a ton of free food. Like, what? They did have some restaurants in Israel as well, which obviously funded Israel. And I did hear that not the parent company, but the founder was founded in Israel. I'm not 100% sure on that. Their food quality was also very unhealthy and not safe. I think we know that already. It's quite crazy as well. And they even changed to paper straws and cups, but there's much bigger issues to be dealing with than just plastic. And I am reading off of notes, by the way. And apparently the biggest corporations have the strongest hand in shaping our political policies, as they are some of the biggest donors, taxpayers, and the largest individual recipients of government sending decisions. But we don't hear about them because they pretend to not be political when it comes to hurting their business, which is very controversial. And I know that companies don't really say who they're siding with in political things, but I mean, it should really be announced. And McDonald's will have the little donations box on the side, and they'll point out how they've helped many charities and homes. But what's a few donations when you are actually supporting killing a ton of people? And not to mention, McDonald's actually own a lot of more children's hospitals, but they don't really own any farms or cow farms, because obviously their food would come from cows. And in America, this is more of a theory. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is just a theory that apparently people are finding human DNA in their burgers, McDonald's food. And as we know, the billionaires were eating babies quite literally. I wouldn't be surprised if they were also feeding us them, which also hence the children's hospitals, because yeah. I know that there is a lot to say about McDonald's, but I don't want to keep this video too long, because whenever I'm watching a video on what I should boycott, they talk about really unnecessary things, and I know that I do that a lot, so I'm trying to keep it short. If you do know any other things wrong with McDonald's, feel free, or if I've said something wrong, please feel free to correct me on that in the comments. I'm probably not going to get any comments, but it's worth a shot, And also, I have a lot of family members who willingly go there weekly, and their children are obese, and I'm not surprised by that, because if you're going there all the time. And she says that they don't believe that it's true. I think even if none of this is true and McDonald's actually did nothing wrong, it's still, the idea that it could have been wrong is very much enough for me to stay far away from it. Because it is disgusting to think that people will actively know that this is going on and still support it, and then they can be like, oh, but it doesn't matter, you just people like what they like, and if I want to go to McDonald's, then that's fine. It doesn't mean that I'm supporting genocide and the war, but it does. It really, really does. And I feel like people are missing that a lot, just because they think that how does these two things link? But I feel like people should really be more educated, which is another reason why I'm making this video. Now onto Primark. Okay. Primark obviously claims to be child labour free, but it's clearly not true because kids are found sewing clothes on the outskirts of India. And this girl shown in the photo, she is 11 years old and was found sewing just for barely enough money. Like, I'm pretty sure, sorry, I'm reading off of notes here. So, I don't know how to pronounce the name, but this brand, I think, which supplies brands including Marks & Spencer's, Mothercare and H&M, confirmed that wages paid to garment workers were as low as £1.13 for a 9-hour-long day. And mind you, these are mostly children working. Children from poor families aren't going to school, but instead are working in unsafe conditions for your clothes. And I feel like people are lacking empathy to think. And I actually had a girl in my school tell me, I was telling her about reasons to boycott, and I understand that I cannot force people to boycott, but I was educating her, and she said to me that, like, I don't support boycotting. I don't think she fully understands what it means, but she said that she doesn't support boycotting because she didn't want to be the only one boycotting if nobody else was. I was like, okay. You can't just change your opinion like that. That's not how it works. And she also said, like, oh yeah, I understand why people boycott, but I need my stuff. You don't need those £2 lashes from Primark. I think you'll be okay without them. There are other places that you can buy from in different brands that are safe and child labour free and don't support Israel. I'm going to show you a small video. It's just a short video. Which can explain it better than I can, and it shows you actual videos of people and children working. I'm pretty sure it's mostly in India or Mumbai. I'm gonna have to do research. I'm not good with countries and where places are, but my point is that children, maybe even younger than 10, I actually did read about kids who have been younger than 10 are working, and these children are obviously not going to school. They are not getting an education that they need, and to get so little amount of money, that money could be providing for their entire family, that is clearly not enough. And everybody always hears about war and of children being like injured and suffering, and it's really heartbreaking to see, but obviously people are ignoring this. And I know that they might watch a small video on their Instagram or their TikTok and be like, oh yeah, this is really sad, I really care about this. Then show that you care about it. It doesn't mean that you have to donate to charity. It just means that you can do very small things, like not entering a Primark or not buying from McDonald's. And people think, oh yeah, but you know, it's difficult in the day-to-day life. It's like, I have to boycott everything now. Like, not asking you to boycott everything. We are just telling you that pretty much everything, like the big companies that you want to buy from, support Israel or child labor. And it's really heartbreaking to see how Primark says that they don't use child labor when they clearly do. So I'm going to play the video now.
I can give you what you want.
Primark says all its clothing is made inside its factories. They also claim to pay a living wage to all its employees. So what are these women doing finishing its garments in the backstreet slums of India? Primark says it never employs child labour. So what are these children doing beading Primark nightwear in a Tamil refugee camp close to outsiders?
And the girl? She's 11. She's 11 years old.
Primark says independent auditors monitor its entire production chain to ensure it meets all its social and ethical responsibilities. But they don't know about this Indian garment trade middleman. He runs an off-the-record order book from a Primark supplier. He then feeds work into local backstreet slums and sweatshops.
Sometimes
10, 12-year-old children will work. Yeah?
Primark don't know about this either. Underage youngsters checking the sequins on vests destined for Europe. Our undercover buyers found them on Primark's rails, and ordinary shoppers bought them, trusting Primark's social responsibility guarantee. Now, some of those customers are learning the hidden cost of clothes at prices you won't believe.
The kids, that's shocking me the most. They should be out playing and doing kids stuff instead of working.
Oh my God!
But just how much worth can its customers place in the ethical trading declaration handed out in its stores? Primark wants us all to look good and pay less, but what's the cost?
Some comments that people in my school have made as well when we watched this video, which I have been trying to find again, it was about this guy who went undercover in like places like India and other countries as well to see about how the child labour actually is. And Primark, obviously saying that they don't use child labour, he went undercover to find out what was actually going on behind the scenes. And I noticed that back to saying, and the people from my school, 2 girls who sat behind me, they said that they would rather be working in a sweatshop than be in lesson. I think that any child working in a sweatshop would love to have a life like you live. People take for granted what they have, and these girls, obviously, this was about, I don't know, they were about like 11, 12 at the time maybe, and I know that you might be like, oh, that's young, they don't know what they're saying, but it's just, people should really be educating their kids more, because to say something like that, and a child who doesn't get to see their family often, they're working in a sweatshop, they're probably living there as well, they're barely eating or drinking enough, and they're working in terrible, unsafe conditions, in like, it could be blazing hot, and they have to work the whole day. You don't get like a break or anything, and they're saying that they'd rather be working in a sweatshop, they'd rather be living a life like that. Those kids will go home to play on their phone, and they're probably gonna get really upset if their mom were to take their phone off of them. A child who has nothing would have had like the joy of going to a house at the end of the day after not even a long day at school, because they're meant to work for hours, and school is just 6 hours, and school isn't bad. School is a place where you go with your friends, you learn. Children would love to have an education. Just because you don't like it, that doesn't mean that there's not another child in the world who would have loved to be in your place. And they would also say things like, oh, well, they're like kids in Shein and stuff, like, why does my package always take so long? They need to hurry up, they need to start working harder. And that really broke my heart, and something that my own mum has said, actually. She said that she doesn't care about the children in Gaza because they're not her kids, and she's not in Gaza, so she doesn't have to worry about it. Which I think is she's lacking so much empathy. It's such a gross thing to say. Like, children are dying, and you are saying things like that. And I know that you might come at me because I obviously sound really awkward saying all of this, and I'm not really getting to the point, and I keep adding on about it, but I just turned 14, and I already have a better understanding of this than majority of adults, and I noticed that most adults say things like kids should be kids, you know, they shouldn't be on their phone all day, they should be playing outside, they should be, you know, with their friends, playing dress up, like, they should be watching videos, eating nice food, eating whatever you like, having big birthday parties, because they're kids and they deserve to live their life. And the same people who are saying things like that are also supporting brands and companies that uses child labour, and they don't care about it because it's not their kid. If you could really live that life and see how people live like that, you would obviously feel more empathy for them. And people don't realize how lucky they've got it. And even so, I can say so much, but people won't want to change. Like my phone, it's Apple. Like, you should boycott Apple, and I have an Apple iPhone. And you might be like, oh well, you know, it's not like she's gonna give that up anytime soon. And I mean, I'm debating it because obviously it's an Israeli product, and there's also a lot of things which, like SMS, is also an Israeli product, which I feel like it's not talked about as much. It's always these big brands, but never just like the things you don't think of, like your phone. I also had my first drama lesson the other day, and the place was kind of weird. It was obviously a fun lesson. You might be like, why is this relevant? Well, I'll tell you. I walk in. The director, he has a Starbucks cup, and the girl beside has a drink with Coke in it, Coca-Cola. A girl walks in holding a McDonald's cup, disgusting. And even worse, some people were giving out these poems, kind of you just had to kind of do an improv, and then you were using ChatGPT. And I'll make another video discussing why AI is bad another time. But it just really made me feel quite weird, because to think, like, I don't know, there was so much wrong going on. I didn't say anything because it's my first drama lesson. I didn't want to make it awkward. But I don't know. It's just really weird to see how common it is in everyday life. And I bet you, even if I educated those people, I bet you they would still continue to use stuff like that, which is really heartbreaking. That was pretty much all for my video, but I did just want to show some household products that I actually have in my house, of things that should be boycotted.